Today, we're diving into something that affects so many of us: comprehensive women's health. But we're not going to treat it like some boring checklist. Instead, we're going to look at it as a journey, a lifelong one. We'll explore how our health needs change over time and what we can do to stay on top of them every single step of the way. This is such a powerful place to start. The World Health Organization said this way back in 1948, and it's never been more true. It basically tells us that being healthy isn't just about not being sick. It's about feeling good, physically, mentally, and socially. It's the whole shebang. Okay, so that's a really big, holistic idea, right? How do we actually apply that to the real-life journey of a woman? Well, it means we have to stop thinking of health as some static thing. It's dynamic, it's always changing, and we need to change our approach right along with it. I think the best way to wrap our heads around this whole journey is to think of it like a story with a few different chapters. See, each stage of life brings its own unique priorities, its own challenges, and yeah, its own amazing opportunities to be proactive about our health. The story really unfolds across four key stages: puberty, adulthood, pregnancy, and then menopause and older age. Each one kind of built on the one before it, creating this incredible roadmap for lifelong wellness. So let's start at the beginning: puberty. This is the foundation. The main focus here is all about education, understanding what's happening to your body, getting a handle on the menstrual cycle, and just building those good hygiene habits early on. This stuff sets you up for life. Once we hit adulthood, the theme kind of shifts. It goes from learning the basics to actively maintaining our health and preventing problems before they start. This is where things like diet and exercise really start to matter long term, and where preventative screenings for things like breast and cervical cancer become absolutely critical. Now, the third stage, pregnancy. That's a whole different chapter, a really unique one. The focus becomes super specialized. Every single choice, from what you eat to avoiding things that could be harmful, has a direct impact on creating a healthy little world for a developing baby. That's why those regular prenatal checkups are just non-negotiable. But the journey doesn't just stop at delivery. That postpartum period is so important, and honestly, it's often overlooked. It's a time for recovery, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally too. This is exactly why screening for things like postpartum depression is so vital. It helps make sure the entire family gets the support it needs to really thrive. And that brings us to the final stage, menopause and older age. Here, the focus shifts again to managing a whole new set of changes. We're talking about navigating the symptoms of menopause, actively working to prevent bone loss, osteoporosis, and keeping a really close eye on long-term things like heart health. So, we've walked through how the priorities change from one stage to the next. But what about the things that should always be there? The constants? Well, that's where our lifelong health toolkit comes into play. These are the core habits that support you no matter what chapter of the story you're in. Here's the crucial thing. These four tools are your constant companions. It all starts with fueling your body right and staying active. But, physical health is only half the battle. Taking care of your mind by managing stress is just as important. And finally, being proactive with regular screenings and vaccinations, like the HPV vaccine that helps protect against some cancers, that's like your personal early warning system. These really are the pillars of good health at any age. Okay, we've covered the stages, we've talked about the tools, so let's bring it all home with some final advice that really gets to the heart of what it means to manage your health for the long haul. It really boils down to three key things. First, think of your health like a long-term relationship. It needs regular attention, not just a quick fix. Second, definitely get those regular checkups, but just as important, learn to really listen to your body. It's usually telling you what it needs. And finally, please remember you are not in this alone. Never ever hesitate to ask for help, whether it's from family, friends, or your doctor. So, we've journeyed through all the stages, we've looked at the essential tools, and it all comes down to this one simple thought. It doesn't have to be some huge life-altering change. It can be one small, simple step. So, let me ask you, what is one thing you're going to do for your health today?